What's up, everybody? Tom Pelissero here with Judd Zulgad, the first day of Vikings training camp. And Judd, I don't remember the exact numbers. I got to go back and look them up. But Christian Ponder last year, really through all of Mankato, but particularly on day one, was just brutal. Today, that was the sharpest performance he's had in Mankato, which you'd hope you would get with a guy who now has had a year in the system.
Yeah, first day of practice for the Vikings. Ponder was sharp. I mean, the practice as a whole was, I would say, choppy. But there's 90 guys here, and there's how many new guys? I looked at my roster no less than 30 times today, and I've covered this team since 2005, and I knew almost nobody. I mean, when you look at this roster, when you look at the personnel, it is so different than it was last year in training camp. Ponder looked good, and the key thing for Ponder, too, is just for him to show a comfort. I mean, it was clear last year in training camp as a rookie he was not comfortable. Today, he looked comfortable.
Yeah, another thing that's worth watching too is just how his perimeter group shakes out, because you wonder how the ball is going to be spread around. Kyle Rudolph, every time I turned around today, was catching another pass from Christian Ponder. But some of those receivers, Greg Childs looked better than he did at any point in the offseason when he didn't practice a whole lot. I still think Michael Jenkins looks like there's something wrong with him. He's not dropping his weight in and out of breaks. He's just sort of coasting out there. I just wonder if that guy's even healthy. And that entire group, Jarius Wright did some positive things. Actually blew Josh Robinson's hamstring out there too.
Yeah, that's the bad thing. I mean, that's
right.
the one guy. So one guy's hurt. Wide receiver-wise, Jerome Simpson actually looks like a guy that Ponder is at least trying to get comfortable with. I'm not sure the comfort is completely there yet, but you know what we're seeing tight ends-wise? And they've just started installations, so there's a lot of offense to come. But what we're seeing tight ends-wise is, I think, what we expected last year from Bill Musgrave. If you remember going into last year, we talked to Schenko and said, look at what they did in Atlanta. Do you expect that? And he said, absolutely. And I never thought the tight end was used as much as we expected. Well, the start of practice today, you saw the tight end being used. I think we are starting to see Bill Musgrave install the offense that he wanted. And I still contend that I don't know that offense was ever completely installed last year to Musgrave's satisfaction.
Well, let's not forget, too, there's going to be more opportunities to go around those first 3 weeks because Jerome Simpson's not going to be in there. They're still trying to figure out, is it going to be Childs, could it potentially be Jenkins or Aroma Shadu? There's not a lot of really positive options that you would feel good about, and I would think early on in the season you might see the tight end be a much larger part of the offense, and then that's something that could carry forward for the rest of the season.
Right, and the thing about it, too, is it's clear that Ponder is comfortable with Rudolph. I mean, that much is clear. I don't know that when Ponder got in there last year, 6 games in, that he and Schenko were ever as much on the same page. Rudolph and Ponder are buddies. They've worked together. And these tight ends are going to be used. I mean, John Carlson is going to be used. So it doesn't surprise me, but I think at the end of training camp, we will really see Bill Musgrave's offense more so installed than we probably saw at any point, maybe all last season.
Peterson to the PUP list, no surprise there. He's less than 7 months removed from knee reconstruction, and I've always thought maybe after that first preseason game, that's where we might be able to see him come back. On the defensive side of the ball, tough to read what's going to go on in that front seven and how guys like Latroy Guion and Jasper Brinkley are going to fare in their roles until the pads go on. Right. Because today they're still out here in shells. They're going to be doing that for the first few days. But the one thing that did stand out, of course, Jasper Brinkley not in the nickel defense, which is what we expected. It's going to be Aaron Henderson, and you just wonder how this defense is going to develop, because if you don't feel like you have a Mike linebacker who can drop and cover that deep middle, you're probably not going to be playing a whole lot of Tampa 2.
No, and this team's problems, if there are going to be problems, are going to be on defense. We just don't have answers there. Offensively, you get a feeling it's a little bit more of a mix and match, and I don't want to say fine-tuning because they're probably a little bit ways from that, but you look at the offense and you say to yourself, all right, I get what's going on there. Defensively, day one of practice, we have no idea, and I wouldn't be surprised if 2 weeks in, if we're sitting here next week saying the same thing. I think this defense is going to be a work in progress all season, and if this team is to be successful, it's going to be the defense that surprises people.
And I think that it was also obvious as you looked at the depth chart in this first practice, they're giving guys on defense reps based on were you here last year. That's why Mr. O'Raymond and Jamarcus Sanford are out there as the first team safeties, and that's why Harrison Smith was with the second team. That's why you see Chris Carr's out there with the first string. Now Josh Robinson's nicked up. You wonder if it's a hamstring and if he might miss several days, a week, whatever it may be. You got some other guys getting opportunities, because it's a big group of sort of interchangeable corners. They all bring something different to the table, but the Brandon Burtons and Marcus Sherrills and even some of the rookies like Felder, there's a bunch of different guys there, and you're not entirely certain how that group's going to shake out.
And when is the last time since you've covered this league that you've seen a guy pull up with a hamstring and been back in a day, 2 days? It never happens. If you pull up with a hamstring injury, you're lucky if it's probably 2 weeks. So yes, I think today definitely changed, the dynamic changed when he went out, just as far as reps go, as far as who's going to play. The other question mark is Chris Cook, right? Because Chris Cook is a guy, his first training camp looked great. His first game against Detroit in his rookie season looked very good. But since then, I've never been able to figure out if Chris Cook is going to be a player. And this team, with all they put up with last season from Chris Cook, desperately needs this guy to be a player.
And
Desperately.
The biggest thing with Cook is, does he get his hands on people? Does he play physically? Because what we saw today was his weakness, which is he's playing 5 yards off Jerome Simpson. Jerome Simpson beat him by about 7 steps down the sideline on a go, and Cook basically gave up on it. Can't have him in those sorts of situations.
And by the way, Jerome Simpson dove for a couple balls today, and I don't want to make a big deal of this, but how nice was it to see, after watching Bernard Berrien here for the last couple training camps do absolutely nothing, never dive for a ball, never seemed to care. How nice was it to see a wide receiver who actually seemed to care about what he was doing out
What are
there?
you going to do without Bernard Berrien to kick around?
I'm going to be the happiest guy on the face of the earth. Another guy that never wanted to play football and got paid for it.
He's Judd. I'm Tom. Full Vikings coverage at 1500ESPN.com and on the air at 1500 ESPN. We'll see you.